Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're doing another album shootout. Today we're talking about Alice in Chains Unplugged
Versus Nirvana's Unplugged.
There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist we put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a little thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So we've done a few of these album shootout videos. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to compare the two albums and decide which one we think is a better album. We've done a bunch of these. If you go back through the channel, this is probably the hardest one for me, though, because I love both of these albums for different reasons.
When he told me that this is what we're doing, I felt like this is Sophie's choice.
Yeah, there's no way.
This is how
I can decide.
How do I make this decision?
So Nirvana Unplugged in New York. You know, it's one that I will say for a long time, I really felt like this was the pinnacle of the Unplugged series. The Alice in Chains version has definitely grown on me over the years. And now it's really neck and neck. To be honest, I have no clue which one I'll decide or come down on at the end of the video here. This is this is the end of Nirvana. This is like the lasting impression that the band would have.
Right.
You know, and I remember after Kurt Cobain's death, this thing was played pretty much nonstop.
Because this came out right before or right after?
It was right before his death.
Okay.
And it was played pretty much nonstop on MTV after he died. There's you could almost feel the pain in Kurt when he's singing these songs, especially like towards the end of the session. And I felt like it was almost like a different side of Kurt Cobain. First off, I will say that I think that they proved in their Unplugged performance that they were better musicians
than they got credit
for. And I think people really kind of saw into Kurt's soul in this performance. And, you know, it's one that even, you know, almost 30 years later, or is over 30 years later now. Yeah. You know, it's kind of hard at times to kind of go back and watch this one.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched it, but I've listened to it, you know, on streaming and whatnot. The differences in the songs, in terms of being, you know, going from electric to acoustic, I think the transition, because not every electric song sounds good in an acoustic format, and vice versa. But every song on here is either equal to or even better than its electric counterpart. Yeah. And again, that's a testament to the fact that we are dealing with real musicians here. This wasn't just a garage band, you know, that barely played anything, you know, getting a record deal. These were accomplished, or even you could argue maybe becoming accomplished musicians, but these were musicians. And of course, like you said, the personality that is in every part of the performance, because you don't have to watch it. You can feel it just listening to it. Yeah. You can hear it in some of those songs. It's there. It's present. When you say the pain, I don't know if I believe that.
Especially like if you go back through, like, and watch the last song, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a part late in the song where it's like towards the end where Kurt stops and like takes a breath in the middle of a line, and it's almost like a window into his soul at that point. It's like,
well, something in the way, just listening to that, there's definitely an emotion to it, for sure. But like I said, I haven't watched it in ages, so it's maybe something I need to go back.
No, I definitely go back and watch it. I'll say that, like, also the covers that they do, you know, I think there's covers are really kind of funny when it comes to when I think of them. They're a lot of times they're not as good as the original. I would say every single cover that they do in this unplugged performance, I think, are better than the original.
Jam.
It's funny. I think it's Penny Royalty during this performance. Kurt actually messes up the lyrics, and the band kind of gives him crap during the performance.
I remember that.
It's you know, so it shows a different side of Kurt Cobain, of that band, that I think a lot of people didn't see in the public especially the last year to a year and a half of his life. But
Yeah.
I will say that
There's some banter with the audience too. That's
Yeah.
not comical, but it's friendly. There's a happiness that maybe is artificial. I don't know, but it's present.
I will say that if you have this on vinyl, this is actually there's a, I didn't know this till just recently, within the last couple of years. This is actually a 2 LP version that has the fourth side of it has a bunch of stuff from the rehearsal. So if you don't have a copy on vinyl, this is the copy you want to go out there and find.
Right.
Alice in Chains was in a different period. This is, I think, 96 when this came out.
This came out in 96.
The band hadn't performed together for, I think, 2 years. They'd been apart. And I believe this is one of the last performances that Alice in Chains would do with Lane Staley. I know there's a couple of songs during this performance that it was the last song, the last time they played those songs. I think it was only a couple of times they played together after this. And then, of course, they'd have a long break before Lane unfortunately died. So this is also kind of a snapshot or the end of the band. And
At least in that form.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they obviously went on and they're still releasing music,
Right.
and they're still touring. But Alice in Chains lost something when they lost Lane. Yeah. And I think it's kind of along the same way with the Nirvana Unplugged is Lane's performance on this album is unbelievable. I think it's one of the his vocal performance on this album, I think, is the best of any Unplugged performance. And it's one that kind of took me a while to come around to, because I was never the biggest Alice in Chains fan. When it came to grunge, I was always like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and then an Alice in Chains song here or there.
Right.
But this was the album that made me fall in love with Alice in Chains.
Well, I mean, for me, I came across Facelift probably around the time it came out, like 91, early 92. But it wasn't like with Nirvana where it was, this is a band for me. I kind of came to them late too. And I definitely came to the Unplugged late. But I'd always known of the version of Rooster that's on here.
Yeah.
And the comparison. And because I think you'd even said the Unplugged version's better. I think it was you.
Yeah.
And I went and listened to them both. And at first I was like, no. And then after listening more and more, I was like, you know what? Maybe it really is. Because you're right. There's a
different element to the Unplugged version.
There's a much different element, but it's also, like you said, it's kind of like everybody right at that moment is firing on all cylinders. Just for the whole show. Not just that song, but the whole show. And it really does show through in that. And I did not know that this was kind of the last of them. Because for some reason in my mind I thought he didn't pass away until
it was early 2000s.
It was,
yeah,
and it
but it was a long time. Like I said, I think there was only a couple of performances he did with the band after this, and then he never performed with the band again.
Really? See, I did not know that, and maybe that taking that into account might put the whole thing in more perspective. But yeah, I did not know that. For some reason I thought he died in the 2000s, but. That's a long gap not having. That means they didn't put out any new music or anything for that whole time period.
And whenever Jerry Cantrell plays whenever Alice in Chains plays and they play the song Nutshell, which is the first song off this.
Great song.
It's a great song. This performance was the last time they played that song with Lane. They always dedicate that song to Lane when they play it live.
Yeah, it's a great opener. It was a great choice to open the show with that song. And the version on this is my favorite. I prefer this over the studio version. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great way to open the album.
And I guess that's the only knock I can give the Nirvana Unplugged is
some of the choices of
some of the maybe not so much the choices of songs, but maybe like the way that they're ordered on the album. I don't think it starts out, this album, like the Alice in Chains album, starts out so strong. Mm-hmm. And I don't think maybe the Nirvana album starts out that same way. The opposite is with the Nirvana album for me. It ends
on a better note.
Than this album does.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
All right, Ian. So if you've got to pick one, which one is the better album?
This is going to sound weird, but I have to fall on Alice in Chains.
Yeah. I I would actually agree.
Yeah. It's difficult because they're very different bands. But there's a certain, I don't know, the performance is better. And I hate saying that because we've pointed out
both performances
both
are great.
Fantastic, and we've pointed out how, you know, the emotion that bleeds through in the Nirvana one. But overall, just looking at it, if it's strictly just looking at musicianship and quality, I've got to go with Alice in Chains. Yeah. The order of songs is better. The choice, I think the choice of songs is better. What Nirvana does with the songs they chose is awesome. But I maybe would have picked different songs.
Yeah,
some of the songs I would have picked different.
I would have liked to seen them have a little more variety because it was basically like a greatest hits show done acoustically.
Yeah. But I mean, I would love to have an acoustic version of Lounge Act.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite Nirvana songs.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you know, everyone goes to a concert wanting to hear their favorite song. Yeah. It's not always going to happen. I get it, but you know, we didn't get any other concerts after this, so it's like
so looking at the two, like I said, I would agree with you. But the funny thing was, had you asked me this question 2 years ago, I probably would have felt differently. For much of the last 30 years, I've said that the Nirvana performance is not only the best of Unplugged, it was one of the best live performances in general. And I've changed my opinion over the last couple of years. I feel like you said, I think you're right. Like some of the song choices on there, you know, maybe not have 3 or 4 different covers on there. Mm-hmm. Maybe mix in some more stuff, maybe some deeper cuts from a couple other albums. Maybe that I will have felt differently, but I don't know. And I think like Alice in Chains did everything right. Like the performance is incredible, the song choices are incredible, the how they sync the songs on the album fit perfectly. It was just a perfectly done album.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard because, like you, if you had asked me, say go back 1996, Alice in Chains, if you would have said in 28 years, you're gonna say that this album is better than Nirvana's Unplugged, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. No, I'll never say that.
I will say there was also some quick math on your part there.
Yeah. But yeah, I no way back then, and who knows? Maybe 10 years ago, I may have started to change my mind. But I mean, going back to when that came out, even if I had listened to front to back then, you could not have convinced me that I would say that it was better than Nirvana. Yeah. But now, I mean, maybe just getting older and I'm looking at things differently. But it's a better album. Yeah, it's sad because. I'm not saying because we're not saying that Nirvana's is bad in any way. No. We don't want to degrade it.
I just give it like a hair. I think just a hair better.
And it's really it's that much of a difference, really.
Yeah. Well, that's all you got for today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. I'd love to know what you guys think of this. Which one do you think of these iconic albums is the better choice? Let us know what you guys think. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you see a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.